Last month, I booked over 150 calls for my online business. And I know you're struggling with turning your leads into sales calls in your calendar. So I've created a 4-step framework that allowed me to go from booking like 15 calls a month to now 150, effectively 10 timesing the amount of calls I book every single month, meaning more money, more sales, and overall more fun and freedom in my life. So now getting into step 1, this is lead contact congregation. First, what we need to do is define what a lead is. A lead is somebody you have contact with. The really important part about understanding lead contact congregation is that way you can more effectively scale. But if you have leads in your Instagram inbox, but you're also DMing people on Facebook, and you're also creating content on YouTube, and you're also thinking about running ads potentially, and you're doing so many different things, it's going to be so sporadic all over the place, being much harder to scale. So we need to centralize where your leads go to, like whether that's your Instagram inbox, or that's a online community, or it's something of that nature. Overall, it's really important for you to understand that you want to have all of your leads go to one place and just keep it simple. They all go here, or they're all from this one area, because if they're not all in one area, it's going to be much harder to then get them onto a call, because then you have to think about, okay, well, was I talking to this person here? Or wait, maybe I was emailing them. Or wait, was this somebody from my content that booked a call with me? And it's gonna be a lot more confusing. So you need to simplify where you get your leads from and where you bring them to. So if you have call to actions in your videos, have them go to one place. Just say like, hey man, go to here. And it's gonna be a lot simpler, and that means a lot easier for you to book calls if you do this. So it's super, super important just to go from one place, because if you can get your leads all from one place and to go, all of them to go to one place, then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to then more effectively master the skills that are associated with getting leads and congregating leads to that one place. So then you can learn the ins and outs of how to do that, but it's much harder when you put all of your energy to multiple different areas. So overall, stop overcomplicating things, because this is exactly what I did like last year, because honestly, around then, I was barely booking maybe 15, 20 calls a month, if that, from my audience and my existing network. And the reason is because I didn't have a simplified conversion system. So a simplified system to go take somebody from one step in my funnel to the next, to the next, and to the next. And the funny part about this is I thought that I was doing so much work, and I thought that I just needed to do more. There was some magical trick if I just did enough work and I learned a new system or something like that. Now, yes, learning can help in the sense of changing what you do, but you don't want to do too many things all at the same time. Because if you do too many things at the same time, your brain's going to be focused, on all of those things. That means you can't hone in all of your energy to go to one area. So you have to figure out how you can effectively congregate everybody to one place. And the best way to do this is by looking at, okay, let's look at your funnel, your business right now. There's probably one place where a majority of your leads are coming from. So whether this is Twitter cold DMs, or this is content on Instagram, or this is like posts in a Facebook group or school community, something like that. If you do one lead acquisition like area, and 80%, 50%, even 60%, whatever amount of your leads go to that area, you should only be focusing on that. Especially when you're first trying to scale, because you need to make it as simple as possible. As that's what I was trying to do before. I was trying to go to many different areas, and I was doing many different things expecting it to compound. But you have to understand fundamentally the compound effect. The compound effect is when the more input you put in, over time, your results exponentially grow due to not only that you improve, but the results from your actions improve. Think about it like this, the fastest man alive, Usain Bolt. Do you know number 2? Maybe you do. Let's say somehow you do. Do you know number 3 or 4 or 5? The 5th fastest person who raced against him at the time, you probably have never, you don't even know his name, you don't know what he looks like, you don't know where he's from, you don't know anything about it. It's because top 1%, even though it's such a small difference, gets all the glory. Now, it's not saying that you're going to be the number one, even, or top 1%. That's not the goal. The goal right now is to look at what can I do to get closer to becoming somebody who can achieve my goal. And that's through developing the right skills, so doing the right things and doing only those things and getting not just good at them, but getting great. Because you can be good at many different things in your life, but you can only be great at a few. So you have to figure out in business, what few things are you going to be great at? And just look at like where are you at right now and what can you do to leverage these opportunities that you have in front of you to get to that point. So now once you've chosen this lead acquisition stream, so like wherever your leads are going to come from and wherever you're going to bring them to. So whether that's you're doing cold outreach on Instagram and you bring them to an email list or a free coaching call, you have to figure out where they're going and where they're coming from. Next, step 2 is nurturing system automation. As over time, you're going to have tons of leads. These leads are going to start piling up, and you're going to have to automate in the sense of do less work to get more out of it. Effectively, that means leveraging the nurturing system that you have. And nurturing is just warming them up. Well, how do you warm something up? Probably by creating friction, because like I'm doing this with my hands right now, my hands get warmer. You do the same thing with your leads. And now that can be done when it's at a small scale. You just had a couple people, maybe you are sending free resources to them and you're learning more about them and you're really trying to help them out at the start. But as you scale, you're going to make it so it's going to end up just being less and less personalized, especially as you're trying to get more and more calls booked. So what you need to do is be able to automate this nurturing so that way you can also exclude more people and start attracting the right people. And the reason why this is so important, I'll get into in step 4, which is talking about ruthless exclusion and how to translate that over to your funnel. But what you have to understand right now is that your goal as you're getting these leads into this place is to be able to nurture them as effectively as possible. Therefore, make them so warmed up that they're just like jumping out of the microwave, hot and ready to buy. And the best way to do this is through understanding who you're talking to and what's actually going to help them. So as you're talking to your prospects right now, as you're DMing them, or as you're getting on the calls you do get on now, and as you like talk to your audience, what you want to do is get a great understanding of where they are at. Because once you can get a great understanding of where somebody's at in life, including their problems, their pains, their desires, their assumptions about why they aren't where they want to be. Once you can get a great understanding of these principles of their life, what you're going to be able to do is translate that over to practical solutions and advice that you can then create free resources for. Because then when you identify that they have this problem, instead of personally teaching them, helping them out with it, you can still create that same level of perceived value, which is simply saying that they perceive you to help them solve problems in their life. And that's how you can easily do that, by creating these resources, whether that's a YouTube video that you're specifically designing for them. Just as I have a couple clients right now, more than a couple, actually, we have like 10, 15, something like that right now. And I have a lot of prospects. And this video can serve as help for some things that they might be struggling with. It's the same thing that you can do for your prospects or your clients. You create resources in the sense of videos, documents, or spreadsheets, whatever you can think of that's going to help them for their specific needs and problems. And then once you identify that more in the future with your future leads, then guess what? You can just send that right over. And eventually what you want to do is centralize this to one area. So like whether it's building a school community, whether that's a website VSL, or that's an appointment setter that sets them up to get on a call with you. You always want your leads from your audience and from whatever lead acquisition you have going to one place. You want them flowing to this place So that way you can have them there and then ready to be nurtured by whatever system you have set in place at that time. Whether, like I was saying, that's that community VSL or appointment setter or whatever it might be. And as once we implemented this, and once we got to a lead volume that was getting a little hard to manage, we implemented this and we made tens of thousands of dollars because it made nurturing them so much easier. If you want to learn my conversion and nurturing system, so how I get more and more people throughout my funnel and how we have really, really high conversions to the point where 1 out of every 2 people I'm talking to, I'm booking a call with, then click the first link in the description, join our free private online community where you'll be taught exactly how you can just implement that system into your business so you can get hundreds of calls in your calendar and make tens of thousands of dollars. Now, with that being said, this brings me to step 3, problem and proof positioning. The reason why is because what problem proof positioning really is positioning yourself as an authority figure using proof as the solution to their problem. So you position yourself as an authority figure in the solution to their problem through using proof that you've solved this problem for yourself and other people. And the best way to go about this is simply is just by telling them. So, listen, dude, if you just tell them that you're like, hey, oh, by the way, honestly, I did do this. I think we did like, $5,000, $10,000, whatever, last month. Like, if you say that to somebody in the context that helps them understand that you can help them solve their problem, that is going to be it's going to be so effective because they also have that perceived likelihood that by listening to your advice, they're more likely to achieve whatever goal they have and solve whatever problem is currently paining them. And this all comes down to actually understanding the person like I was telling you about. You have to understand who you're talking to through just talking to them, writing down that feedback and really understanding the problem they are struggling with. Like, what do they think they're actually struggling with right now? And what do you know they actually need? And what do you know they're actually struggling with? Because a lot of the time people are focused on the wrong things. Just to give you an example, imagine if you're just somebody who's like getting into fitness. So you're just getting into fitness, and then this is the person you're targeting, right? So then you go and talk to this person. They think they just need some magical workout routine. But truthfully, it actually just comes down to their diet. And they just don't have the right diet right now because they're not staying consistent. So what you do is then you position the call based around, so getting the call booked on your calendar, you position that based around the solution to what problem they think they have and what they want, but then you actually deliver what they need. As sales fundamentally is leveraging people's beliefs and wants to get them to sell themselves on your solution. So if you can understand what they believe about their current situation and what they want, then you can get them to sell themselves on your solution by then using that. For example, one great question you can just ask on a sales call is simply saying, hey man, so I know we talked about like me helping you out. I guess what I want to understand is, why do you think I can help you? And then what you want to do is help you with and explain whatever problem they mentioned to you earlier in the call or in DMs. Because once you are into the call, then they have to justify why they're using their time, why they are using their precious time to talk to you. And then it furtherly cements in their mind why they should be buying from you, why they should spend more time with you and learning from you. Overall, what you need to understand is you need to give proof. So proof that you are who you say you are. And give that foundational, like, unbreakable proof, like, hey, we have done this, or I have done this. Therefore, I can help you with this, probably, right? I mean, if I'm here, this is where you want to be, and you're here, then I can just help you and guide you in the right direction. In worst case scenario, even if you don't buy from me, it'll still give you a great understanding of the steps you can take on your own to get there. And that's the way that you can position these calls getting on your calendar and really just always going to that next step of your funnel. Then once you've positioned yourself the right way and you guys have clarified the problem, then you need to start breaking limiting beliefs around their problem. How you go about this is by telling either stories about your own life, or what you need to do is give examples as to why these limiting beliefs why they are limiting. And then what you do is follow that up with a question, asking them what they think about it. So it's, for example, if they really don't think it's their diet, it's like, I've tried 5 different diets before. And then what you can do is be like, man, John, I really understand where you're coming from. I've tried 4 different diets in the past and I made virtually no progress. But then what I realized is, I mean, man, I was just going and looking through my days and I was like, hold on a second. I'm like consistent with this diet 50% of the days that I'm saying I'm trying it out. So I guess my question to you, John, is like, do you think you might resonate with that at all? Because then when you ask them that, then they start to think, oh wait, maybe I am. Maybe I am. Hold on, wait, then they start to, you break that belief in their mind that they need a new program, and instead you kind of plant the seed in their head that's actually a diet problem. And guess what? Well, you help these beginners in fitness with their diet. So it's perfectly going to be able to set you up to then make them sell themselves in your solution because you planted that seed in their head in the first place. And then what you can do to go above and beyond in these resources that you created is make sure there's practical solutions. Practical solutions. I mean, it's that simple. Give solutions on like the steps you need to do, the steps you just need to do to get to where you need to be. And then that's what you do for them. It's like step by step, what they need to do. It's that simple. And a lot of people add a bunch of fancy fluff on top of it. You really don't need to do any of that. Just be like, hey, you can do this and then do this and do this stuff. And you can either go off and do that on your own, or what we can do is we can work together and help you implement it to make sure you get more than crazy results. So it's about just giving what they need to do and these practical solutions that are actually, I mean, they can work, they can do it on their own, or you can personalize it to them and help them out. So you give these practical solutions through these resources we talked about you creating and make sure they're going to actually be able to be put into practice, whether they work with you or not. Because worst case scenario is that they don't work with you now, but in the future, they want your help because it's like, hey, whatever reason, they just can't work with you or you can't get around their objection. But in the future, man, they might come back to you and they might say, oh yeah, I've really just been trying this on my own and I know you've really helped me. So I wanted to come back and see if there's any way you could help me out even more. Somebody might message you at that like 6 months from now or a month from now or 2 months from now. Now this game plan does take time and it does take a lot of work and it's going to be time consuming and it's going to require a lot of effort. But in entrepreneurship, you have to understand that you have to be willing to give that effort. You have to be willing to sacrifice that time in order to be great. And really these can be done and these practical solutions can be given in the DMs through these resources or on calls through quickly summarizing some things or even in posts if you're posting on YouTube or on Instagram or in a community, whatever that might be. Just use your mind, be resourceful, look at what do I have right now and then leverage that to create these resources that actually work for people. Now all that brings me to step number 4, which is ruthless exclusion. Ruthless exclusion is very important. And what I mean by this is, well, we have to break it down. Exclusion is excluding everybody except people that fit into this one category. And ruthlessness is being, we can say hard, or we can say structured, or it's like this sort of standard that they have to meet, and this standard is very high. So it's like you have to be here, and I'm not taking anybody under. I don't care if it's maybe this potential situation might happen, whatever. Don't spend your time on people who are not qualified to work with you, that are in this group of people that you say, these are the people I want to help, these are the people I'm most confident in helping, and these are the people I think I can get the best results with. Now, you might not exactly know who that is, but getting a good general hypothesis of this and then formulating what you do with your time based around these people is going to be the most beneficial thing you can do. The reason for this is because then you start attracting these types of people. And instead of just posting random content, let's say in your marketing, or booking random calls with people who aren't actually that qualified to work with you, then at that point, you're wasting your time on unqualified prospects and you are literally actively spending time on people that you know aren't really worth it. So you have to have the discipline and you have to have the ability to say, I am not going to give into this. Yeah, I might make a little bit of money from this in the short term. You have to be willing to give that time and not expect anything in return for a longer period of time, so you can start to develop this consistent lead flow of qualified people. An action step you can do right now is defining everything, like creating a list, define step by step what somebody needs to do, or in other words, what somebody needs to have in their life, their mind, and around them to be able to be, we can say, qualified, or to be able to even get results with you. So like they have to be this age, they have to be working this job, or they have to be having this hobby, they have to be interested in this thing, they have to be in college, or they have to not be in college. Whatever that might be, you want to be able to clearly define those things, so that way when you're testing to see if somebody's qualified or not, you're able to just maybe poke at them once. If it doesn't look well, then you can just step off and focus your time on somebody who's more qualified. The only exception to this rule is when you know somebody clearly can be qualified in the future. You know they have great work ethic, they seem super ambitious, but it's just like they're not there yet. Give them a little bit of free help. Still give them some of those resources. Get them into the point where you've gotten that nurturing system set in place, whether that's in a community, like I said, or just calls, whatever thing that you're going to push them towards. Maybe have them go there just so you can help them out a little bit, spend a little bit of time. And this is like with people you know that have a really high likelihood of coming back and reaching out to you, and you can tell they're ambitious. You can tell that they have a desire to be great, but they're just not there yet. And then you help them out a little bit, guide them in the right direction, because worst case scenario, you learned more about who you want to work with. Best case scenario is that you have gotten them to come back to you, you've helped them out, they have already a great positive association with you, and they maybe even refer people to you. Overall, it's going to be a great experience. But that comes from excluding people ruthlessly and understanding who you target and why you target them. Overall, the ability to reject money in the short term actually creates long-term success due to the fundamental difference between a scarcity mindset and a non-scarcity mindset. What I mean by this is scarcity is just the lack of something. So if you have a lack of something in your life, there's going to be some sort of like scarcity attached to it typically. Typically, there's going to be. So for example, that scarcity can then create dissatisfaction, which then can create short-term motivation, but you need to funnel that motivation to the right area. Because if you funnel that motivation to just taking on whoever, getting on whatever call you can, trying to hard sell a bunch of people, that's not going to work out too well for you, man. So what you have to do is be willing to only put your time on people who are to the utmost caliber, the highest caliber individual that you really believe you can help and that you know are going to be committed. And if you don't think they're really going to be committed, or you don't think they're actually going to say yes, now this isn't like, if it's a maybe, you can still go for it, but like if it's pretty clear they're not really interested right now, or they're in a certain place of life, it's just kind of uncertain, what you want to do is continue to help them out a little bit, and do not allocate a ton of extra time to people like that. This is just because in the future you can sell to them when you're ready and when they are ready. So when it seems like a pretty good point in time, then you can think about selling to them. And that really only comes down to making sure it actually works. Don't just sell and use whatever sales script or whatever thoughts you have about how to sell, whatever you've heard before. What you want to do is generally just understand where they're at. And if they seem like they would be a great fit to work with you, then you take them on, not the other way around. However, that takes a ton of consistent practice and work, and really developing the right clear system so that way you can consistently implement it. And let's be honest right now, you're not booking as many calls and therefore not making nearly as much money as you would like. So I created a free private community where I'm helping online coaches like yourself and teaching them the systems I used and step-by-step how I use them to get hundreds of calls on my calendar and make tens of thousands of dollars, all at the age of 17, by the way. And all the best part about that is there's no secret landing page you land on with a VSL telling you to buy from me, or a $30 low ticket thing that you have to pay to enter. So go join now to take the first step to changing your life. Imagine what even 5 or 10 more sales a month can do for you in your business. Or don't and be like everyone else who spams random content hoping you might make some money from it, but overall it just hasn't been working nearly as effectively as you wanted. And be like those people who don't really take action even though they say they do because they say they're more productive than other people, which maybe they might be a little bit, but come on, they're not. So don't be like them. Or I guess you can. It's your choice. But I think we both know which is the right one.